Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Stephen Levine. This is Tom Vandervoort. It is our Big 3 race preview edition brought to you by our good friends at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're going to Daytona, and we're pandering to the Junior Nation, as we are wont to do here at Rowdy. I've got the old school amp jacket I'm sitting in front of.
I got the helmet.
You got the helmet.
Junior's going to win this race, by the way.
Really?
Yep, he's going to win it.
You're committing to that?
I'm committing to it. Well, let's save that to the end. Let's talk about what leads to the victory.
That's what you call a tease.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about race winning strategy, because what we expect to see is basically pack racing with some tandem offshoots at the end with maybe 3 laps to go, 2 laps to go, nearing the checkered flag.
Well, I don't know if it's really an offshoot. I think the tandem is what wins you the race, probably. Probably.
The pack is what gets you there.
The pack's what you're going to see. It's sort of a changing web of alliances, pack racing for most of the race.
Change is the only constant.
Indeed. But the way to win this thing is to hook up with another guy and get to the front as a 2-car tandem. That is still the fastest way around Daytona. Now, you won't be able to do that all race because you'll overheat that way.
For a long time, people said, you know, you want to be in second. You want to be in the second position of the tandem draft. But you and I just went back and watched like the last 4 or 5 plate races, 5 plate races, since the tandem era was introduced.
Well, 6, all 4 from last year and 2 from this year.
And plus the fall Talladega 2010.
Did the slingshot ever work one single time in any of the Cup races?
The second place driver never won. The closest anybody came was Jeff Burton and Clint Boyer at Talladega, what, last fall?
Last fall.
Where Jeff Burton
he tried to pull out and he didn't make it.
Almost made it, but not quite. That's the only time the slingshot has ever even come close to working.
Well, here's the thing about it, right? If you're in second, you're pushing the guy in first. If you 2 guys are way out in front of everyone, kind of like Keselowski and Busch this year, then you've got maybe the time to try to slingshot around him, right? But if you're close to another tandem, you can't pull out because you're going to kill both of your momentum, and the other tandem will get past you. That's what limits the options for the second place driver. So personally, if it's a green-white checkered leading for the final restart or leading when you hit the white flag, I think that's the more likely path to victory.
And I say
doesn't mean the second place guy can't win.
We've just not seen it yet.
We just haven't seen it.
To me, the key, and this is going to be, you know, stating the obvious, but the key is for that front tandem to stay connected, because when you get a little bit of air in there, we've seen what happens. We saw it with Greg Biffle and Matt Kenseth. You must stay connected.
And if you try to pull out, basically you both lose momentum, and that's why you cannot pull out if there's another tandem close to you.
So that's our first key in today's Big 3 race preview edition. Second key has to be, as it always is at a play track, survival.
Well, when you bring back the big pack, you also bring back the big one, as in the big wreck. And I think you're going to see it.
But really, no strategy that we have seen has assured survival. Not rolling around in the back. You can, you know, still end up in somebody else's mess. As a matter of fact, you can drive up onto it. Rolling around in the front, not necessarily a safe place to be. I tend to think the front is a little bit safer than the back, but who the hell knows?
Unless you drop off the back of the pack. Unless you have a mini pack off the back of the pack.
So I think
that's the only real way.
A lot of it is going to be luck.
Right, that's true. I mean, there's really no particular strategy that gets you out of the wreck. I mean, the one thing you have to do is not be the one that causes the wreck. And that means that no move that you make, you know, in the middle of the race is worth a very high degree of risk.
It's interesting.
Because track position doesn't matter here. Back to the front, front to the back. You can do that all race long. It doesn't matter that much. You're not gaining that much, so it's not worth a high degree of risk to make some crazy move in the middle of the pack in the middle of the race. It's just not. Now at the ends, it is more worth that, so that's where I think you probably are going to see a wreck towards the end of this race, if not more than one.
You know, the tandem draft used to produce more wrecks, but they were smaller, because if you just got a little bit off and you spun that guy out, but you didn't involve the rest of the field.
Necessarily,
now, with the big pack, you might get fewer incidences, but they will probably cause more casualties.
All right, let's talk about some drivers here, because I already said Junior's going to win the race. I don't really know why we have to talk about the other guys. I do love Junior.
What do you mean why we don't have to talk about the other guys? Who has been in the lead, or who has been up front with all of these plate races?
Matt Kenseth.
The Fords, man. Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth. Those Ford engines, they sustain the heat a little bit better. They have been up front at Talladega. They've been up front, obviously, at Daytona. You can't discount those guys.
No, you can't, and I don't think you can discount the Hendrick cars. I think they're going to be fast. But really, the guy who won last week, Brad Keselowski, he won our last one of these plate races at Talladega, so you can't throw him out either. And how about this?
And remember who pushed him? Kyle Busch.
And Kyle Busch is excellent. and so is his brother Kurt.
The best.
Now, wouldn't that be a hilarious
Kurt
story?
Busch
And it's not
is
like
the best
Phoenix
plate racer never to have won a plate race.
And it's not like Phoenix Racing hasn't won a plate race before. They have
with
Brad Keselowski.
Keselowski.
So there's just a lot of stuff going on here.
But you're going with Junior.
I'm going with Junior just because he's been in position at a lot of these races recently. You talked about watching the end of these races. He's been up there, and I think one of these times he's going to win one. Well, I think that with that winless streak broken, now you can kind of see him getting into a position where he's winning a couple more races.
And Daytona, obviously, is a
great chance for him. We all know that. So I'm picking Junior.
I'm going to go with the Roush Fenway Ford because I think they're going to be there in the end. And obviously, Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle have been performing a little bit better than Carl Edwards, but Carl Edwards is getting... He's not quite at desperation time, but he's getting there. He needs to win a race. He needs to assure his place in the chase. So I'm going to go with Carl Edwards because I think all of the Roush cars are going to be there at the end. And I think Carl Edwards, I'm going out on a limb. I'm going to go Carl Edwards.
Desperation time usually means Rex or Daytona. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.